off the round by addressing his 3 observations he gives. First, that extremist views of autonomy do not match a practical real-life application. However, I'd like to point out that extremist views of unfairness don't make any sense either. Let me explain. At what point do we stop maintaining fairness? My opponent has offered no draw or no line of where we would stop maintaining fairness. For example, does it go along with the principles of fairness to take everything from everyone and just redistribute it so that it's basically a socialist society? Is that just? Or is there something else that makes life more important than fairness? I would argue that yes. And now I'm going to bring in to this discussion another reason for the importance of autonomy. Gary Herbert discusses the importance of autonomy in his book, A Philosophical History of Rights. He explains that the precondition of coexistent freedom is that each be conceived as the author of his actions, responsible for what he does. Were one not recognized as responsible for what he does, one would be denied the dignity that belongs to a free and responsible being. Herbert continues, to treat another as an object would conceivably be to treat him as an object of our pity, our concern, and our good intentions, not simply as an object to be used and or abused for our own benefit. Autonomy is what gives a person dignity. Furthermore, disrespecting a person's autonomy makes them less human, which leads me to his second observation, that by respecting autonomy, we respect dignity, and the only way to do this is through fairness. However, again, respecting dignity comes down because to the idea that in order to respect autonomy, we must respect dignity. But the only way to respect dignity is to allow people to have all of their rights, especially autonomy. So by respecting dignity, we allow people to let them choose what they want to do with their life. And by advocating a single-payer healthcare system, we take that away from them. When people don't have the right to autonomy, they're considered less than human because that's what makes humans different from animals. Animals don't have the right to choose. They just have first-order desires, and they go and they try and fulfill them, whereas we humans have the ability to look at our lives and decide what we want with it. And if what we want with it, and what we want to do with it requires that we have our property that would be lost in the single-payer system, it is immoral for these rights to be infringed upon. Which leads me to his third observation, that we need an expression of autonomy. But I'd like to point out again that the freedom of religion is an expression of autonomy because we get to choose which religion we practice. I'd like to go back to my point of abortion, how it's immoral for people who are part of the United States government to have to pay for abortion if they don't believe in it, how their money, their fruits of their labor is being taken and it's going to be used for something that they are strongly against. How can that be considered moral? They're not being able to exercise their autonomy, and so we can see how this situation proves to be immoral and how single-payer healthcare has a flaw that makes it inherently immoral. I'd like to move on to my voting issues now. My first voting issue is that the affirmative offers a proactive policy that violates the rights of the citizens. And because it's a proactive policy, it's an immoral policy, and because we would be doing this, we'd be proactively violating autonomy. And remember, autonomy is what differentiates us from beasts, from animals that aren't able to do what they want with their life. So the importance of autonomy, again, gives meaning to human dignity, and human dignity is only respected when the human has all of their rights and is not considered beast. And then my second voting issue is autonomy is just the importance of autonomy again over fairness. How even if everything were redistributed, people would still choose to do what they wanted with what they were given. So autonomy is still, they're not mutually exclusive, and fairness depends on autonomy. Because without the right to do with what you want, okay, I'm done.
Okay.